I have got my COVID jab in just over an hour. We love to see it. Go get vaccinated, guys. Hello everyone, my name is Olivia and welcome back to my channel. Oh my god, you can see the contrast of my tan on my arms. That is from work, my friends. But anyway, hi guys, today I'm here with my monthly reading wrap up, which is super exciting because I love to talk about books. But yes, today I'm going to be talking you through all the books I read during the month of June. Frick, I was gonna say May then. No, June. We're now in July, which is doing crazy. My birthday is actually a month today, which I can't quite comprehend. Today I'm talking about the books I read last month. I read a total of 5 books, which is pretty low compared to what I've been used to. Usually it's been about 7 or 8 during the month, but yeah, I have been a bit of a busy bee this month, so I've not had as much time on my hands, but 5 is still, it's not bad. I'm still happy with that. I mean, I know some people read about 15, but that's just not me. I just don't have that sort of time on my hands. So yeah, 5 it's a solid number and I'm happy with that. And yeah, I'm going to talk you through all the books and what I liked and disliked about them. I'm not going to lie to you guys, this month, last month, was kind of negative. Most of the books I actually kind of disliked. There's one that's positive. Well, no, there's quite a few 3 stars, so I was a bit here and there with them. But yeah, a lot of them were a bit of a letdown. But yeah, this is probably going to be my last book video for a couple of weeks, because like I said last video, I'm going to try and switch things up on this channel because I don't want you to get bored. And I don't want to keep making the same types of video. Even though I love talking about books, I do want to switch it up a bit, so that's what I'm going to do. Maybe I'm going to do a what I eat in a day again next week, or maybe a mukbang with my sister, because I know she's desperate for us to do one of those together. But we'll see where the week takes us. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's just get started. First book, I briefly talked about this in not last video, or was it last video? No, a couple of videos ago I talked about this one. But anyway, it is Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. I forgot who it was then, which is quite concerning. Conversations with Friends. I gave this the same rating as I gave Normal People, which was no surprise to me really, because they're very similar in terms of like the way it's laid out and, you know, how it's written. Very chaotic, and that was the thing I disliked about Normal People. So I did rate this one 3 stars, although I would say in terms of plot, I think I actually preferred this one slightly. I mean, there's not much in it, but they're both 3 stars and they're both books for me. But I would say maybe I preferred it slightly more because I just found the subject matter a bit more intriguing, and it's not personally a situation I'm familiar with, so I did kind of enjoy reading about it. I can imagine my friend Catherine is going to want to read this at some point, because I don't know if she's finished it yet, but she was reading Normal People and I think she quite liked that, so I'm probably going to lend this out to her. But yeah, if you're not familiar with this book, it's basically about a girl called Frances, and she's 21 and she has got an ex-girlfriend called Bobby, and they come across a couple called, oh fuck, I can't remember what their names are, Nick and Melissa. They come across this couple who are a bit older than them, and they very quickly become quite close to this couple, and they kind of familiarize themselves with them. And Frances starts to fall for Nick and Bobby starts to fall for Melissa, and it's kind of just where those relationships take them and how their relationships intertwine. I don't really know how else to describe this book because it was there wasn't too much plot to it. It was pretty much just the relationships between those 4 main characters. Well, Frances is our main character and the other 3 are kind of very close. But yeah, it is in the view of Frances. She is our protagonist. So yeah, for me, like I said, with Normal People, the chaotic was very writing. The writing was very chaotic, which I think is Sally Rooney's aim. I think that's quite a common thing in for Irish writers, to like not put quotation marks and stuff. I personally don't like that, but it is what it is. I can't really you know, that's her writing style. She can do as she chooses. I'm just going to read the blurb to kind of familiarise myself with the story a bit more, because it was like the beginning of the month. So we've got Frances is 21 years old, cool-headed and observant, a student in Dublin and an aspiring writer. At night she performs spoken words with her best friend Bobby, who used to be her girlfriend. When they are interviewed and then befriended by Melissa, a well-known journalist who is married to Nick, an actor, they enter a world of beautiful houses, raucous dinner parties and holidays in Brittany, beginning a complex menage a trois. But when Frances and Nick get unexpectedly closer, the sharply witty and emotion-averse Frances is forced to honestly confront her own vulnerabilities for the first time. So I'd say the main theme for this one is Frances and Nick and Frances and Bobby. That's kind of, it's kind of Frances's relationships with the others rather than their relationships with each other. But for me, yeah, it was just a bit and I don't really know what else to say about it. It was very sensual, it was very quite serious at times, and some dark matters were discussed. But yeah, I just don't really think Sally Rooney is for me, but that's totally okay, because she's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I know a lot of people who absolutely swear by her writing, and I think Sally's actually got another book coming out this year, but I don't know if I'm actually going to pursue that one, because her other two just haven't really been my sort of thing. Next book, cool. Okay, this is another one I've actually talked about as well. This one was probably, yeah, this was definitely my favourite book of the month. We've got Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. I am in love with this little fantasy world and series, and I just find it so much fun. And honestly, Alina, she's very annoying at times, I'll give her that, but I do really... Excuse me? What are you doing? You coming to sit in? So yeah, the Grisha-verse is definitely one of my guilty pleasures. I just find it so much fun to read about, and the character Nikolai is, I think I mentioned this last video, he's definitely up there with one of my fictional crushes. I just really liked his personality, and just the way he's described really sucked me in. But anyway, this base, I can't really talk about this one too much because it obviously continues on from Shadow and Bone, but you know, there is pirates involved, there is wars, Darkling, you know, he's not messing around, and it's also very sad towards the end. There was a big shocker of an event, but yeah, like I said, I can't really describe it too much because it's going to be spoilers for obviously the series. But Mal's character did my head in quite a bit during this book. He is like that jealous boyfriend who you just can't seem to shake off. He's, well, ex-boyfriend, boyfriend, I don't know. I can't even remember how they ended. I'm thoroughly enjoying this series, and I really need to order Ruin and Rising because I need to know where it ends up, because it was kind of a cliffhanger, kind of, I mean, I think it was actually, I can't fully remember. A lot of lovable characters, a lot of suspense, a lot of obviously fantastical creatures. Aline is obviously continuing the journey to find, well, if you've read the book you know what journey she's on and what journey the Duckling's on. But yeah, I don't really want to ruin it, but yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and it was definitely my favourite read of the month. Oh, I don't think I said, but I gave this 4 stars because I didn't quite enjoy it as much as Shadow and Bone, but nevertheless it was great fun. So 4 stars is where it had to be. Next one, oh my god, this book, sorry, I need a sip. This next book, wow, I don't even know where to start because it was heavy, and I was not expecting it to be heavy. We have got We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Oh my goodness, this book has actually, like, when I was reading it, it actually destroyed me. So this book, what can we say about it without giving it away? So it's a story of 4 cousins. They are the Sinclair family. and they live on this private island. Well, they don't live on this private island, they go to this private island every summer. Yeah, they go on this private island every summer because, you know, their grandpa is very rich and he obviously owns all this land. And there's these 4 cousins, well, 3 cousins, and one is like a step cousin. They're all very close and they spend every summer together. It starts off just kind of their life on this island and what they get up to, and then something happens which we're not 100% sure of what it is, but basically Cadence, the main character, she has this accident. Bella's under my bed. Get out! Don't know if you can even hear that, but I do apologise. So yeah, Cadence midway through this book has some sort of accident, and it kind of puts this relationship with her cousins on hold, and it's a very mysterious book. We find out a lot of random facts that don't quite connect together. During the book, Cadence has to not go to this private island for a couple of years because she's like recovering. But yeah, then eventually she does come back and she kind of, the truth unwinds as to what happened to her because she's not 100% sure. Wow! The ending, I don't think anyone could prepare themselves for that. If you have read this book and you predicted that ending, then you deserve some kind of award, because I did not see it coming at all. And I did cry. I won't lie about it. I know it's a young adult, but I did bawl my eyes out. But like, I was just reading and suddenly my eyes are like wet, because it was just so not expected. I had no time to prepare for it. With the little life, I could kind of prepare myself for that because I knew how sad it was going to be, but this one, it kind of just hit me. It says on the back, "We are liars, we are beautiful and privileged, we are cracked and broken, a tale of love and romance, a tale of tragedy. Which are lies, which is truth, you decide." So yeah, basically these cousins also have the burden of their families kind of rift between them, and they, as a 4, they want to try and solve it. So they come up with this plan, and the plan doesn't quite go to plan. And yeah, that's kind of how Cadence's accident takes place. And yeah, I don't want to give it away. I'm not very good at describing books without giving it away. But yeah, I actually ended up giving this 3 stars as well, because by the end of it I didn't really know where I stood with it, because it just kind of, when I'd finished reading it, I felt very empty. I don't think it ended nicely, if I can remember that well. I mean, it might have had a nice ending, but I was just so empty from what I had found out. I just couldn't recover from it. This was my review on Goodreads, okay? Wow, do I feel empty after reading that one. Can't say too much without spoiling it, but honestly, I don't know if I loved or hated it, so it had to be 3 stars. Ah, what a roller coaster though. That's all I can really say about it. Honestly, I just think you need to read it. Honestly, I would recommend this to everyone. It is a head fuck. It will shock you. The shock was good, like, because I wasn't expecting it. It was a good shocker. And E. Lockhart is quite a genius, but I just don't think my heart could handle it. But anyway, 4th book, I actually managed to pick up a classic this month. I was trying to do it every month, but I actually think I missed that out last month, which is fine. Like, I read what I want when I want, so I'm not going to obviously put the pressure on myself to read a classic, because sometimes they're too hard of a book to get my brain around. But yeah, this one I was let down with a bit, but it was still an alright book. But yeah, another 3-star read this one was, and it is My Cousin. No, it wasn't. I picked up the wrong book, you nincompoop. It was not My Cousin Rachel at all. Sorry about it. It was Jamaica In by Daphne du Maurier. So I read Rebecca earlier this year and absolutely loved it. It was 100% a 5-star read, and it is a book I can see myself going back to, even though obviously I know the plot twists. I can definitely see myself going back to it in the future because it was just so gripping and yeah, amazing. This one, like I said, it was a 3 stars. Honestly, I was quite bored when reading it. It was suspenseful, don't get me wrong, but nowhere near as much so as Rebecca. And our main character Mary, I just found a bit of a wet lettuce. I didn't really connect with her as I did with the main character in Rebecca, even though she's nameless in that book. I just connected with her like so much more than I did with Mary. Yeah, this story is basically about Mary Yellen, whose parents have died one after the other, and it was her mother's dying wish for her to go and stay with her aunt, who she hasn't seen in quite a while, and she lives in this inn, Jamaica Inn, with her husband, who Mary's never met, and you know, obviously they're not related by blood, it's through marriage, so you know, she's not really familiar with this man, but she goes to stay with them because it was her mother's dying wish. And a lot of mad things start happening. Like, it's a very weird environment, it's not your typical inn, and even on the way there, when she's in a carriage, even the carriage driver says to her, "Ooh, why do you want to go there?" Despite all this, Mary still goes there, because I mean, it was her mother's wish, but also she has nowhere else to go really. So yeah, she goes to this inn and notices how different her aunt is from when she last saw her. Her aunt used to be very bubbly and free-spirited, and she's very like decrepit and grey and very serious and, you know, bit of a mop. And when she comes into contact with this uncle, I think he's called Joss, her uncle, he's very like aggressive, very angry, and just a very nasty man. So yeah, she her first impressions of her uncle are not good, and she wants to leave, but she kind of stays for the sake of her aunt. She doesn't want to leave her aunt in this environment because this Joss, he treats the aunt very badly. So yeah, Mary doesn't want to leave her in this environment, but at the same time she really doesn't want to be there herself because he's very, like I said, a vicious man. Basically, Mary finds out that her uncle is in the wrong crowds, and the reason it's not an inn is because there are criminals involved, criminal activity. I don't want to spoil it again, once again I don't want to spoil it, but there's criminal activity involved, a lot of ill-mannered men in this book. There's also a bit of romance in this book. Mary meets a guy who, yeah, I don't want to say too much because he is linked in with this uncle somehow, but yeah, you can find that out yourself if you want to give it a go. So yeah, I did like the sort of love story between Mary and this other character, but yeah, the actual plot of this book really didn't interest me, and the whole uncle thing with the criminal activity, I just found it very far-fetched, and it just didn't, I wasn't connected like I was with Rebecca, which was such a shame because I really had high hopes for this one because I love Daphne's writing. But yeah, for me this one just didn't draw me in like Rebecca did. But yeah, I gave this one 3 stars because it was still beautifully written, it was still kept me on my toes a bit, but there were quite a number of times during this book where I was not skim reading it, but I was just very, I didn't feel like I was giving it my undivided attention because I was just quite bored. So there's that. Yeah, Mary is very much in the wrong crowd in order to save her aunt, and it's very much her battle with her inner thoughts between what is right and what is wrong and what she should do. She gets help along the way from someone she meets in a village, but yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people have absolutely loved this. Like, some people have actually liked it more than Rebecca. I personally don't really see that, but yeah, it's an alright read. 3 stars. Last book, this was actually the biggest disappointment for me. I feel like I've been a bit of a sulky Susan in this video, but honestly I can't, like, how was that a good way to positively describe books you didn't enjoy? There's not really, is there? But this last book was definitely the biggest disappointment because this is such a hyped up book, and going into it I had my head held high. I just really thought it was going to be my sort of thing, but wow. Without further ado, Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman. I was, like I said, so let down by this book. I really thought it was going to be my thing, but it just, I was so bored, honestly. There was no plot to it, and the characters, I just didn't connect with them at all. Honestly, for me, if I don't connect with the character, I very much struggled to get into the book. I think that was one of my problems with Jamaica In, and also probably Conversations with Friends. And that seems to be my main problem with books, is when the character, I just can't connect with them. Because even if the plot is something I'm not really that interested in, if the character's one I really like, then I'm kind of just rooting for them no matter what. But yeah, with this book, Elio, our main character, I just didn't care for him. So yeah, I ended up giving this book 2 stars. Those points are for Andre Aciman's writing. His writing style is exquisite. I can't fault that at all. But what he was actually writing about, it just didn't interest me, I'm really sorry to say. So this book is basically about 17-year-old Elio. It is set in Italy, and his family have this house in Italy and they have a room that they rent out to a student or somebody who is, you know, in need of somewhere to stay. They don't have to pay for it, but they have to kind of help Elio's dad with his paperwork and stuff. So this year they have a guy called Oliver come in. He is 24 and he's working on a manuscript to publish a book. So he comes for the summer, and very quickly him and Elio have a connection, a very interesting connection. Elio is just drawn to this Oliver. It's a very obsessive relationship, and it's a very deep connection, and it's just basically there a couple of weeks. I think he's there for 6 weeks, and it's basically just their relationship, how it unfolds over the weeks. When they're close, at some points they're very close, at some points they don't speak for a week. And yeah, I just thought, I mean, I love romance, and I just usually love, because obviously it's in the space of 6 weeks, so it's a very fast-paced romance. I thought I would really vibe with it, but honestly, I just couldn't connect with the characters. I couldn't connect with the plot, and just not a lot seemed to be going on, which I was really sad about, because I really wanted to love this book. There is a movie with one of my celebrity crushes, is actually Timothy I can never pronounce his name. Chalamet. Timothy Chalamet is one of my celebrity crushes, so I really wanted to like this book so then I could go on and watch the movie. I mean, I'm probably still going to end up watching the film because obviously Timothy's in it, and I think the one that plays Oliver is the one that was in the Netflix adaptation of Rebecca. Didn't like that film, but I recognised the actor from it. Like I said, it was just quite a letdown. But there were a few passages in this, because the writing, like I said, I just couldn't fault it. There are definitely some passages I'm gonna go back on just for the writing style. But yeah, the plot, the characters were not my thing at all. But yeah, that's definitely an unpopular opinion, because so many people like swear by this book and it's a lot of people's favourites. I know Noelle Gallagher on YouTube, I think this is actually her favourite book, or one of. But yeah, honestly, I just couldn't connect with it, which was such a shame, because I really thought it was going to be my thing. As that is all the books I read this month. So really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a big thumbs up if you did. Let me know in the comments what you read this month and what was your favourite. But yeah, that's all for this week, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.